systems, we've got a wealth of information to help you succeed. I encourage you all to take the full advantage of the resources available today and ask questions, engage with our experts. So let's get started. Please join me in welcoming Noreen to the stage. Noreen, welcome.
Hi, Tiger. Hi, everyone. I hope that you find this session helpful. I'm really excited to be here, and I definitely would encourage lots of questions. I love answering questions, and I know Tiger does too. So, um, we're here for answering questions and helping you on your job search.
Yeah, we are thrilled, to have you join us today, Noreen. Your expertise and insights are invaluable, and we are excited to learn from your extensive experience in the industry. So your participation will undoubtedly enrich our discussions and provide tremendous value to all attendees. Okay, so let's get started then. Yeah, let's start with the basic. What is the definition of a resume, Noreen?
So the original definition of a resume is really just a formal document that summarizes the individual's education, work experience, skills, and accomplishments. It was originated because, as work grew, people, instead of face-to-face interacting, there were more people applying in more different types of jobs, and there needed to be a way for the hiring managers to have something in front of them to remind them of the people they were talking to. And and so it is now still used every company for the most part on how you get a job. And there's a lot of new ways that it is used. And it is a major tool in the job search in 2024, even as it was way back a long time ago.
Okay, yeah, thank you for this definition, Noreen. So, what are the key components of a resume if we need to build up a resume then?
Yeah, so we'll start with your contact information on the top. Usually it's in the header in some format, but it has, your name, your phone number, your email address, your LinkedIn profile link. There's also a professional summary or an objective. This is one of my favorite parts of the resume, I have to say. It's where you could actually draw the reader in and share some of your behavioral and personality traits. So it's a brief statement. Usually I'd like to say that it highlights your key qualifications and experiences and career goals, but it's also, who you are, what you've done, and how you want to help companies. So, that's a good format for thinking about it. Talking about I am a DevOps engineer with a degree in finance and a certain number of years of experience, and then you talk about your skills and what you love doing to help companies. So I write resumes bottom up. I like to tell the story and then finalize it with the summary, but from top down is how you read it. Then you have your work experience, and that's just all of the different roles that you've had and the things that you've done in them. The job title, the company names, the dates of employment, and your responsibilities and achievements. It's really important to think about the accomplishments that you're highlighting and the responsibilities that you've had, and think about how you've helped companies. So when you're writing your bullets, you want to describe, what you did, but also how you helped the company, the results of it all. And that's important because it can really show how you could add value to a company, and companies are looking for that. And there's a lot of ways we can dive into in terms of, you know, how you can write those bullets, which we can talk about at another point. And then I'm sorry, go ahead, Tiger.
No, no, go ahead, please.
Then there's education, you know, all the degrees, the companies, the schools that you went to, and the dates that you graduated, if you had additional coursework, or if you went to a boot camp like Clarusway, then you can include that as part of your education. Education is a part of career now. So as you grow in your career, you're going to be continuously learning. Some of it will be formal, some of it will be certification, some of it will be, you know, degrees, and all of it, and some of it will be on the job learning. But it's a, you know, it's something that companies like to see, is people always continually learning and growing and wanting to be better at what they do. You'll also list your skills. So you can list your technical skills, the tools that you've learned, the technologies that you've used, and also like your soft skills, any interpersonal skills or communication or teamwork, problem solving, those types of things. The resume, I always say, is a keyword doc. So it's a keyword document for the applicant tracking systems, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And it's also the outline for your story. So when you're actually writing these bullets, there's a lot of ways that we'll talk about, like where you can map them to job descriptions and really optimize them. But and that will be important in the technical skills and the soft skills, because if those job descriptions are looking for certain things, you want to make sure they're on your resume if you have those skills. Certifications and licenses, that's similar to the education, you know, sometimes the boot camp certifications and additional licenses, and depending on different industries that you're in, any awards or honors that you've gained, anything that you've accomplished that really, you know, that you're proud of, that you want to share.
Yeah, those are the basic key components of a resume. Then what are, so we would like to come up with a good, you know, striking resume. Then what are the specs, let's say, characteristics of a good resume then?
Sure. So, I mean, obviously you want it to be clear and precise. You want it to provide information that is, that uses words that companies and people understand. So also think about, so a lot of times the resume is going to go into an applicant tracking system. That's what happens when you apply to a job. And so you really want to think about, you know, first how you set yourself apart, how people find you. So making sure that your resume is optimized and that that those keywords that those companies are looking for are in it is important. But they also, they're also, so once you get it in front of them, you have to think about who it is that's looking at it. Okay. So the first person that looks at your resume a lot of times is actually an HR person, a recruiter, and their job is really to screen you out, right? To see if you meet the requirements of the role. So that, you know, they don't put people that are not qualified in front of the hiring managers, because the hiring manager's job is to be doing their work, and this takes time away from that. So they try to help them with that. So that's why it's really important to have, you know, clear words, have relevant information. That's another piece of it. So when you're thinking about the jobs that you're applying to, and again, we'll probably go into more depth later, but you really want to you want to know what you're applying to. You know, not every job is the same. And so making sure that your resume is relevant to the types of jobs you're applying to is very important. So when you read a job description, sometimes people will read the bullets and say, I can do that, or yeah, that's good, I can do that. But when you do that, you that's great, but how does anybody know you could do it, right? You have to make sure that your resume actually says that you could do what the jobs you're applying to are asking for. So it's important to make it relevant and tailored. You should emphasize really your skills and experience from your past that you want to leverage in the future. Okay. If you did a lot of documentation and you didn't like documentation, do not talk about documentation over and over on your resume unless you want to do it again, right? if you highlight extra things, be careful, because you don't want to be selling yourself for a role that you could do, but maybe you don't want to, right? So be careful about that. You want it to be accurate. You want it to be professional, well organized. Have all the fonts and the bullets all consistent, and it should be no more than 2 pages. A lot of people say 1 page. I think it's more important to have your experience on there than to focus on fitting on 1 page. But I would not go more than 2. Like 1.5 is usually kind of a good one.
Yeah, we will talk about it when it comes to ATS,
Right.
about the page, yeah, length and everything. So what are the types of the resumes?
Sure. So, I mean, there's lots of different types. The standard one that most people know about is the chronological resume, right? So you start from the beginning. So whether you graduated from college or your first job, you start from the beginning, and then you put your experience, what you learned in it, what type of role it was, and then you build upon that to your next role. And it's important to, you'll have your dates and the different tasks that you used. And I think it's nice to be in a chronological order for a lot of people, because you can see how a career is built, right? So you can start with the first, role, and say, you worked in a call center for a first role. What is it that you actually did there? What did you like about what you did there? And then how does that build in your next role? So maybe your next role, you figured out you didn't really like the call center, but you were really good with customers. So you went into more of a customer success role, where you were working one-on-one with customers. In that type of role, now I'm seeing that you have been good at communicating with people in 2 roles. So now you have more experience. And I know by looking at your resume that if I get you, even if it's for a DevOps position, that you have the customer success experience.
Yeah, that's the one, we use and we recommend to our students as well.
Yeah. And then there are the functional resume. So the functional resume is interesting. I don't work on a lot of functional resumes, but I have recently just completed working with somebody on one. And we did actually what the combination, but the functional resume focuses on your skills and experience rather than the chronological order, and can help with changing careers or with career gaps in employment. I feel like you have to be very clear if you're going to do a functional resume. You have to be very clear on what skills you're offering, how you want to use them, how you've used them in the past, and how they come together to help in a specific type of role. You have to be very targeted with a job, a resume like this. Otherwise, you could get people very confused. They'll look at the resume. They're used to seeing a chronological order. They're like, why did you put it this way? What are you trying to hide? Like, it can get confusing. So be careful, but it's definitely an option. And then the third option is the combination resume, where that can help to show that you've had like positions in a certain order. A lot of people's minds work that way, so it's easier for them to understand. Applicant tracking systems work that way, so like a functional resume is kind of tough in an applicant tracking system environment. But you can then put the functions underneath, like the last resume I was talking about that I was working on with it. We really emphasized certain skill sets within particular roles. So this person that I was working with was transitioning from being really a chef and working in events and weddings, and then going into data science. And there were so many commonalities, mostly focused on individuals and like how well he was good at seeing what the customer wanted. And so many good examples that we were able to put in as transferable skills, it did cover, like, there were a couple of different blocks of, he changed roles, or he was a head chef at one company and then he had his own business. So we lumped it all together, but we put it with those subcategories to help break things out so people were clear on what the bullets were talking about and what we wanted them to see. So it is an option if you feel like it's, something that would be helpful. And so those are the types of the resumes.
Yeah, okay. So when we are preparing resume, we are kind of, acting picky, careful. And so why is that? I mean, what's the reason? What's the purpose of this resume?
Right. So everybody here is more than likely looking for a job, right? In order to get a job, Tiger's heard me say this a bazillion times, but in order to get a job, you have to talk to a person, okay? So you cannot get a job by just writing a resume. You cannot get a job by just applying to a company. You have to talk to a person. So the most important part about the resume is to get noticed, is to get that conversation. It's your tool for getting that conversation. And so one, it's really important to understand, what your background is, what it consists of, what repetitive patterns have happened throughout your career, and how they come together to make you a really good fit for a role. Okay, like how you add value, how all of your skills that you've learned and that you've accomplished in different companies all build upon each other to come together to share that how you have a background that supports what you want to do. Then you want to really be targeting companies that are actually looking for what you offer, right? So that's like a strategic job search. So that sweet spot between where you are able to add value and the skills that you've accomplished that you're leveraging, and where it intersects with the types of companies that are looking for what the value that you're offering is what your target market is. And so tailoring to those types of jobs and really understanding that every DevOps role is not the same. Every company would love somebody to have everything, but they really need somebody to solve a specific problem or work on a specific project right now. And so the more clear you are on what you have done and how you can help a company, the easier it is for the company to see that you're their unicorn, because everybody is one. And companies are looking for those unique characteristics and combinations. So you can tailor it to specific jobs, customize it using, like, looking at their bullets, making sure you're using a lot of the similar words. You can use action verbs. So you want to talk like you've accomplished things, right? So start bullets with, collaborated or managed or led or developed, in order to catch people's attention. That's what's happening, right? So the resume, they look at the top, they get drawn into you, like you are a unique individual, and they love how you communicated yourself and how you can add value. And then they're like, okay, prove it. And they look at the rest of the resume and they're like, okay, where are the keywords? Where does it say they can do what I want them to do, right? So your achievements. So whenever possible, you want to really quantify things, okay? So use numbers to quantify your achievements. And, like, if you don't have specific numbers, like, guess the range, right? So, you can say something like, I optimized and streamlined processes, which resulted in a 20% increase in sales and a 15% savings of time, right? So it's not only always about, revenue, it can also be, saving time, saving money, streamlining activities. So, like, quantifying it for the business and focusing the results not based on what you did, but what you did for the company, because that's the impact that they're looking for. Don't forget, like, as much as you really want a job, if you position yourself like you are helping a company, like, I want to help you, the companies are going to be drawn to you because they're needing help in that specific area. That's why they have an open role. And then keywords. So again, keywords are very, very important with technology. Everything now is about keywords. So you just really want to understand those target roles that you're going after and what words they're using in those job descriptions, because that's what they're going to be using to screen you out, right? To find you in the ATS system, to pop you out, like, so that somebody actually sees you in the first place, or if an actual person looks at it, they're still going to be looking for those keywords and like functions of the role that they know are important.
Yeah, thank you. Those are nice tips for creating an effective resume, Noreen. So, can you talk about the key elements of an advertising style resume?
So an advertising style resume is it's more of like a profile. Like, it's a prettier one, right? It's
Yep.
adding your own magic to the resume and making it a unique design, having a unique layout, have it being visually appealing, and consistent throughout, so that everything's formatted the right way and all the fonts are the same and that colors and that type of thing. It's more about branding. It's typically used in very creative industries. A lot of times, certain companies are looking for people that want to be outside of the box. There are pluses and minuses to the creative resume. I love them for promotion, like person to person, or if you are like in an interview and you want to hand it to somebody or send it via email. It's harder for applicant tracking systems to read a lot of times. So that's the one big challenge. But I love the idea of everybody having their own personal brand and their own personality showing through in their resume marketing materials, right? So when you use this as a advertising style resume, you are using it as a marketing tool. And that, I think, is very important to job search right now. So branding elements, you can add a personal logo if you have one, or maybe you're an independent contractor and you want to have a logo for that. You could have like a professional tagline if you'd like to. Engaging content. So your summary statement, you'd want it to be compelling, sharing your unique value and how you can help a company, the achievements and impact that you've made on companies, like we've talked about before. Interactive elements. So that's another one. Links or QR codes. A lot of times, if you're doing if you're networking, which we'll probably talk a little bit about, but a lot of job search right now is networking. Most conversations are happening because of networking or reaching out to people or tapping your existing network. And sometimes people are going to in-person events or online events and having like a QR code that people can scan where they can get your resume is a really unique way of doing it. Or even a business card that has the QR code on it, or so that people can scan it and go out and look at your professional resume and then click on different links to showcase your value. Maybe you have a project that you're highlighting, maybe you have a blog that you wrote, and that all can be shown through those types of interactive elements. And then you have like creativity and originality. So innovative formats, being outside of the box, storytelling, weaving your experiences together. All of that is just is exciting and creative, and I definitely encourage it. But if you do it, I think you also want to have a traditional style resume because of applying to jobs and applicant tracking systems. And also, not everybody is fully on board with creative resumes, right? So sometimes it's confusing depending on who you're sending it to. So but so you really want to know your audience, tailor the design to that audience. You want to make sure that if it's a finance resume, it's it's formatted pretty like traditionally. If it's more in a creative, brand agency, and then they might like that outside of the box stuff. So it depends on the role and who's looking at it, and what type of industry you're targeting, what type of advertising style is the best. So do research on that. There's even specific colors that draw people depending, right? So, and then you want to balance your creativity and your professionalism. So be careful, like, if you want to be a funny comic, that's great, but it might not be the best situation for getting a job, right? Be you, but be professional. Don't be careful about being too friendly or getting too comfortable, because a lot of times that could be misread, and you might lose the opportunity and be judged before you even get a chance to talk. Just remember, the goal of your resume is to be used to stand out so you can get a conversation. That's the whole goal. So whatever you need to do to make sure that the resume reflects what you have done and shows what you can do is what you want to make sure that the resume is all about, so that you can get those conversations. You want to highlight the key skills and your achievements like we've talked about, and then also make sure that you've proofread and edited it.
Yeah, those are all how to prepare a resume, okay? But we would like to know what to put in it. I mean, so what's going to be the content of an advertising, style resume?
Okay, so you're still going to have the same types of things as a standard resume, right? So you're going to have a header. The header is going to have the name, the contact information, your phone number, maybe a tagline, a personal logo. You can think about your advertising resume kind of like a LinkedIn profile. I mean, they're very similar, right? Like it's creating your professional brand, drawing the person in. If you think about marketing and marketing like basics, it's all about hooking people, right? So like, what's your hook? Why does somebody want to hire you? That's what you want in the summary. I am an organized, self-motivated software engineer. I graduated from UVM with a math degree. I have a 2+ years of combined experience in using C+ or C# or SQL or Python and other programming languages in order to help companies do something, right? Like I like to help companies. I like to help build companies. I like to help grow companies. I like to help optimize or create efficiencies, those types of things.
So those are all you're talking about going to be coming into the summary section. So I have a sample resume summary that was prepared according to the specs that you're talking. I think we can talk on it, yeah?
Yeah. So organized and self-motivated software engineer graduate with 2+ years combined internship and professional experience. I think you could probably even just say 2+ years combined experience. Okay. You're saying you have 2+ years of experience. So then when you get the conversation, you're going to have to back it up. You're going to have to prove it. Don't say it if you don't have it, but if you feel like you can back it up, then it's a good way of packaging it, especially if you're transitioning careers from one career to another. 2+ years combined experience in education and software engineering. Another similar, right? So it maybe you only have 6 months on the software engineering side, but you have education is 2 full years, and combined, you now have new tools to leverage in addition to your education experience. And so now it's not like you have been being an engineer, but you know how to be an engineer in the education field because you have been in education for 2 years and you know the tools now to use in your new role. Fluent in .NET, C#, SQL, Python, JavaScript, and CS, all programming languages, possess practical work knowledge and rational databases using PostgreSQL and SQL Server, cloud development, agile development, constantly updating personal and professional technical skills with complementary collegiate courses and online boot camps, reliable and responsible team player. Okay, so the first part is, this is who I am. I am an organized and self-motivated software engineer with 2+ years combined experience in programming, okay? The second part is, this is what I've done, okay? I am skilled at using these tools to do something. And the third part is, this is who you are, what you've done, and how I can help. So the last part is usually something like, I'm passionate about, using the combination of my math degree combined with my 2+ years of experience to help companies in a specific way, right? You can also add like the personal and professional technical skills and complementary courses, and that you really are reliable and responsible. Just be careful, because some of those things are fluffy. All right. So like, as a recruiter, when I'm like scanning, which is what happens when you're looking for people, you're scanning things. And as much as those are things I want, part of me, because my job is to vet you, is like, prove it, right? So don't tell me that you're reliable and responsible. Show me that you're reliable and responsible. You show me through your resume having, consistent work history. Then you're reliable and responsible because you have longer term experience. You've worked at a company for 3 years, all, those types of things. So that's important. Think about how you're going to show those behavioral skills. And your professional skills, and even some of those soft skills. How can you show them? You're going to really show them in your stories, in your interviews, but you want to tease them on that, right? So like, you bring them in with, I have these specific skills, and obviously you're good with people if you were a people manager, or you would hope you would be, right? I'll test it out when I talk to you, but like, there's a way to show that you could be good with people because you spent time managing, or maybe you did customer success, or maybe you're really good at building products, and so I know you're good at technology. So that's the summary.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. And yeah, already we talked about it, but can you also mention about why resume is so important for us?
So the resume itself is important because it is your keyword doc, and it's the outline for your story. Okay. It is the document that represents you, that hopefully makes you stand out, that people look at in order to hopefully ask you to have a conversation. So, it's a first impression. Sometimes it's the first thing that anybody sees. You hand it to somebody, or send it via an email, or apply to a job, and people take a look at it. So you want to make sure that it's formatted, and that it's consistent, and that there's no spelling errors, and that it clearly communicates what you've done and how you can help a company. It's also a marketing tool. So, you can use it as backup. So you can talk more freely, maybe in a marketing message, in an email, but then attach your resume. So you can showcase your skills, your achievements, really customize it for your personal brand. If you have, certain logos or statements that you feel are really representative of yourself, you can put that into the resume. It shows organizational requirements, like what your standard practices, your documentation. They require, like, organizations require resumes. So that's why we have them. But if you think about it, you want to make sure that, the beginning of the job search process is not the resume. Okay. In order to write a good resume, you have to know who you are, what you've done, and how you can help companies. That's harder than writing the resume. The resume then becomes representative of all that you've figured out about who you are and how you want to help people. And it's important to optimize it using job descriptions of those dream jobs that you're looking for. So it is a marketing material, because it's the thing that's going to get somebody to call you and say they want to talk to you a lot of times. And then it's a screening tool. So again, keywords. It's a screening tool for employers. So people use it to screen you, usually out, right? So to screen yourself in, you have to use the right words for the most part. You have to describe the functions that they're looking for you to describe. If you have had a job where you've had a lot of operational jobs and you don't really talk about some type of marketing expertise you have, then you don't want, and you apply to a marketing job and you're like, I can do that, that's great, but the resume doesn't say that. So make sure that your resume tells the person that you're giving it to that you can do the job that they're asking you to do. It's a communication fit. So, like I said, a lot of it is like show, don't tell, right? So how you describe things, the words that you use, those are all important. What you emphasize. Are you more tactical? Are you focused on, first I did this, then I did that, and I built a platform using X, Y, and Z technologies, and these were the results? Or are you saying, I collaborated with a team of people to build a product that helped users do something, right? So now I can tell that you worked with people in addition to building, and that it's a little bit more strategic if you're like packaging at higher level. And it also shows that you're focused on companies and how you help them with, and you can give credibility with the percentages, and at the end. You can do so. Also, working on a resume is all about, professional reflection. So like I said, before you even write a resume, you should really spend some time thinking about who you are, your personality traits, your behavioral traits, mapping your career, thinking about, are there parts, like, even if it seems very scattered, you probably have a theme throughout your career, a repetitive thing that you've been doing over and over, no matter what role it is, even if they seem very different. So thinking about that and mapping that and understanding like what skills you've used in each role and how you've helped and what you believe is a good accomplishment for each role can really help you see your sweet spot, your essence, like what makes you unique and makes you stand out for companies. It's also an interview preparation document, right? So it's the outline for your story. If you use all the bullets as specific topics that you're going to want, that you are tying to stories that you can tell that will show that you have done what they're asking you to do, that is very helpful. And that is very important.
all the questions that we get during the interview are going to be, from the resume, right?
Yeah, they are. They're going to be off of the resume. So don't put anything on the resume that you don't want to talk about, right? And make sure you have a story that shows the person you're talking to that you know what you're talking about that relates to the bullet. Okay. So the bullet is a bullet dot. It's a teaser. It's like a little tagline that brings the person in. And if you could use the STAR method to kind of map out that bullet, so situation, task, action, result. So what was the situation? Maybe you use STAR method to be like for the whole entire experience that you had at a particular company, right? So the situation was that you were brought in to streamline certain processes because the company needed them streamlined and they thought they could be done better and faster and automation could be used, etc. Great. So that's the situation. So you were a DevOps manager there. A lot of times you could get that. You could maybe have a little summary like responsible for doing these things. Then you have your task. Like, what did you actually do? I built a product. I, connected different systems. That's your task. And that's what supports your situation. Like that's what you have to do to accomplish your goal for the company. And then you have your action, like the specifics of I use these tools to do that. And then you have your results. So you can use that all in one bullet. You can kind of use it if you can't fit it all in one bullet. Sometimes you use a couple bullets. I like to order my bullets so like I can read like here's the big picture down to like the detail. So that's what's important about the interview prep is understanding what's on your resume and understanding how you're going to talk about each bullet that's on there. It can be used for career advancement, networking tool. A lot of people will say, oh, I'll help you, give me your resume. Again, there's a lot that goes with that. You can just remember your network is your biggest asset. Your friends, your family, your friends, that leverage your network. But when you do, give them the way that they can help you. Okay. So when you're reaching out to them, then everybody wants to help, but nobody knows how. And a lot of times people can become blockers when they don't know how. So if you say, hey, do you know of anybody who's looking for somebody who could do this? No, I don't know anybody. So if you say to them, listen, can you please introduce me to your network? Here's a blurb that you can share with your network, and here's my resume with it. And can you say, hey, hi, here's my friend Tiger. He's a software engineer with 2 years of combined experience. That part from the top of your resume could be a very good intro for somebody else to use. And if you're clearly describing how you can help a company, then it helps people understand how, like, how maybe whether they want to talk to you or not. So also a lot of companies use resumes for documentation and compliance. There's a lot of HR requirements. And so just making sure that they have your resume on file, or even, maybe they'll pull you up again in the future. Maybe they store your resume and then in the future they reach out because they think you have the right requirements.
Yeah, good. In summary, we can say resume is a vital document that plays, multiple roles, as you mentioned, in the job search and career development process. So it's not only helping you to secure job interviews, but also it serves as a strategic tool for personal branding, professional growth, and career planning also.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, now it's time to talk about the ATS, the applicant tracking system. So what is it, Noreen?
Okay, so the applicant tracking system is the system that companies use to maintain their records. Okay, a lot of times when you go to apply, you're asked to upload your resume, and that's where it goes. It gets uploaded into an applicant tracking system. Applicant tracking systems, there's all different kinds. There's a lot of newer ones coming out. They all basically pull in your information from your resume. Sometimes they'll ask you to answer questions, and so they'll pull in those questions that they ask you to. Sometimes, they'll when you upload it, they'll ask you to check it over. Be careful, because you need to make sure that when your resume uploads into their applicant tracking system, it's in the right format. And what I mean by that is that your title of your role shows up in the title section, or the bullets show up related to the right roles. If we were talking about, if you have a non-traditional resume, sometimes it will be really hard for applicant tracking systems to figure out what to do with your resume. And another thing is that PDFs really don't read well in applicant tracking systems. So you always want to do more of a Word or even Google Doc to upload. So the recruiters will use the applicant tracking system to screen you, right? So they'll put in keywords, they'll put in dates and see, like, because maybe they want a certain number of years of experience. They sometimes now they're using a lot of AI. Sometimes they're trying to read what you've written to actually see what your personality is or your behavioral traits. They're being used as marketing materials. Resume. If you're writing a resume right now, you are actually becoming a marketing professional. If you want to do a good resume, then that's what you have to be, is an expert in marketing. And so they're going to pull you out based on some things. Maybe if a company says that they want a specific skill, if it doesn't say it in the resume, they're not going to look at you, right? So I had somebody who had experience with a particular tool, like this was PHP. They knew PHP, but PHP was not on their resume. So I sent the resume over to the company, and the company was like, but this person doesn't have PHP. I'm like, yes, they do. Not on their resume. Okay. So if they had applied directly, they would just have been screened out. So that's another reason why you look at your job descriptions, make sure that it's optimized, because that's what's being used to screen you. So it'll store your resume. It'll track also, they keep their comments on it, right? So sometimes it'll go through the entire hiring process. The HR person looks at it, you get through the process, but now it's getting submitted to the hiring manager, who is the person that you would be working for, like your manager in that new role. And so it'll go to them. Maybe they say they want to talk to you. They track that they want to talk to you. And then they talk to you and they write their notes about it. Sometimes they have scores that they do internally, all for themselves. And then everybody gets to see, and everybody gets to vote through the process on whether you are going to be the next person for that role.
Yeah, I have some samples, for the participants, Noreen, so we can check what the ATS is looking for actually when it's parsing, our resume. So it's looking for, if it's complying with the ATS system, it's looking for the file type, and the Word document is one of the standard file types that's used for resumes, as you can see here. So it's looking for the size as well and the page count. I intentionally put 3 pages here, so if you are not in the limits or the borders of a ATS system, then you get red flag like this one. Okay, so it's not only counting the pages, it's also counting the words. And in the next one, you can see, for example, I just deleted the LinkedIn address here. So Then if you're not writing your email, LinkedIn, phone number, address to the POC information, then it's possible that you're going to get another red flag from the ATS system as well. And yeah, education, work history, skills, and the other formats and everything is okay. But that is important. We are not using any personal pronouns in resume. In LinkedIn, it's okay. But in resume, if you are using I, me, we, they, so it's not accepted. Again, you're going to get another red, flag from the ATS system. And as you have mentioned, Noreen, so we need to add some, values, some numbers. We call those measurable achievements. Okay, so we're not going to only talk about the things that we have done, but we are going to give examples of those, especially numeric examples, and that is ATS is looking for as well. And in your resume, you should mention those in 5 places. Otherwise, you get another red flag. And the other important thing is your skills efficiency ratio. I mean, hard skills and soft skills ratio should be even, equal one, or your hard skills should be more than your soft skills. Otherwise, you're going to get another red flag from the ATS system. And what is our, at the end of the day, the objective? So the objective is to get a score that is higher than 80% from the ATS system, okay? Because if you get lower scores, it's going to discard, it's going to reject your resume. So your resume is not going to go to the hands of recruiters, HR managers, or HRs. Shall we talk about some resume statistics, Noreen? So those may be interesting for participants because when you get those interesting information, it's more helping you to remember some facts about when you're preparing your resume.
Absolutely, yeah. So I have some good ones for you. So the average time spent by recruiters on a resume. Recruiters spend 6 to 7 seconds reviewing resumes, okay? Think about how much time you spend writing your resume, right? Every word matters. The summary is what brings them in. That's the essence of you. That's the only personality part that comes through, and it still doesn't have an I in it, right? But it's, this is who I am, this is what I've done, this is how I help. And after that, they're just like scanning to see if you check the boxes very quickly on what they're looking for. So 6 to 7 seconds. Then resumes and applicant tracking systems. Over 98% of Fortune 500 companies use applicant tracking systems to manage their hiring process. What does that mean? All the stuff that Tiger was just talking about is very important. If you want to get noticed, about 75% of resumes are never seen by human eyes, okay? And even some companies now are using AI and the virtual reality to scan people's pupils and do like live interviews. And you could actually do an entire interview process and never speak to a person and get rejected by a computer right now. There are major companies using that technology. So resume length, a single page resume is preferred by most recruiters, especially for entry-level positions. For experienced professionals, a 2-page resume is acceptable. For job transitioners, okay, I just want you to remember that you are not a entry level. Like you may be for a particular role, but you have more experience. That is actually why you will get hired, is leveraging the past experience with the new experience, okay? That's how you'll be unique. That's how you'll stand out. That is going to be very important. Customization of resumes. 63% of recruiters want to receive resumes tailored to an open position. Okay, so That's another really important part. Customized resumes increase the chance of landing an interview by 36%. If you look at a job description, if you have the bullets on the job description, if you know what story you would tell for every bullet on that job description, and you can map that story to a bullet on your resume, and you know you're using those keywords from the job description on your resume, then you are going to stand out much better to recruiters and pop for those particular roles, which is why knowing the roles that you'll excel at is very important, because then you're going to be optimized for them. Importance of keywords. Including relevant keywords from the job description can improve the chances of passing through an ATS system. 70% of resumes are rejected by ATS systems due to lack of proper keywords and formatting. Don't just say, I know I can do it. Make sure that your resume says you can do it. Specific elements.
Oops. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Nope, that's okay. The specific elements on resumes. So contact information. Ensure your contact details are clear and up to date. 10 to 15% of resumes have incorrect or outdated contact information. Here's something for you. If you live in California and your resume says New York, you are more than likely not going to be found if you want a job in California, okay? We have, as recruiters, it's hard enough to screen you. Like, we have to find you. We have to find the right people with the right requirements. And we have a huge bunch of people to go through to find them. So we have to narrow it down. And one of the ways that we narrow it down is location. So make sure that your location is up to date on your resume for sure. Personal summary. A strong professional summary at the top of the resume can grab attention. However, 80% of recruiters say a poorly written summary can hurt your chances. That's true. If it's the first thing I'm going to look at, it has to be clear. It has to tell me who you are, what you do, and how you can help me. Otherwise, you're going to lose me. If it's just like a bunch of fluff, I'm going to be like, ugh. And then I'm going to go down into the bullets, and I'm going to look to make sure that you have those bullets. And if you don't have what I'm looking for, it's going to be, that's it. Okay. Work experience. 91% of recruiters prefer candidates with relevant work experience. So, yes, they want you to have done what they are looking for somebody to do. Okay. That does not mean you have to have done exactly what they're looking for you to do. There are ways to show and bridge that if you are transitioning careers, and we could talk about that at another point, but you can really leverage the process that you've thought through, the ways that you've done work, and you can make connections between prior work to new roles in new industries. So
yeah, thank you, Noreen. And can we get some job application, process numbers by statistical wise? I mean, like number of applications for an opening position, for example.
An average of 250 resumes are received for job openings. 250 resumes per job opening, and only 2% of the applicants are called for an interview.
Okay, that's big number 250, small number only 2%.
Right.
Yeah.
And then networking, 85% of jobs are filled through networking rather than traditional job applications. 85%. Your network is super important, but I guarantee you most of the people in your network that you are even friends with don't know what you do. So be clear on how they can help you so you can leverage them the best possible. LinkedIn profiles. 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn to check candidates. Candidates with complete LinkedIn profiles have 71% more likely to get a job interview. This is true too. I feel like I live on LinkedIn, right? So, it's always looking for the right people. make sure that your LinkedIn profile has the bullets from your resume on it, because how am I supposed to find you for keyword search if you don't have all the information on the LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, the same rule applies for online presence.
70% of employers use social media to screen candidates during the hiring process.
So, in summary, as a bottom line, we can say a well-crafted, tailored resume that is optimized for both, human readers and applicant tracking system should be our objective when we are preparing a good or striking resume, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about the tailoring, but most candidates or students ask me how to do that. So I know it's not easy, so you should spend some time on it. But we are living in a lucky era, let's say, technological wise, conveniences wise, facilities or tools wise. There's a lot of AI tools, to help out in the fields. And we recommend, for example, that is TLHQ, one of them that helps out. Even the free version, helps out to prepare or design your resume according to the job description to tailor it. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna just upload your resume, select the job ad that you have saved in TLHQ, and then it does analysis, analyzing, and matching, and everything for you. So you can do it. You can design and change the rate, as you tailor it as you go through. And then another one is that one, the skill syncer. So this is a nice tool also. It feeds you with fancy and useful graphics as well. And if you would like to look for, keywords, then you can use one of those. This is one to produce, to generate keyword. So that is called Free Word Cloud Generator. What you're going to do here is you'll just copy and paste the requirements from the job posting and paste it to here and just hit enter. You can adjust how many keywords that you're looking for. That is for 50 here. You can go up to 100. So then it's going to come up with the nice keywords that you can use in your resume. Okay, now the question and answer session. Okay, let me check the questions. Yeah, there's a specific question that I already put it here, and it says, how can you tailor your resume for different industries such as AdTech, digital media, and data analytics?
So if you're tailoring it to a specific industry, you want to use those industry terms. Okay. So that's really how I can tell that you have that experience. So for example, in ad tech, programmatic is a big one. It depends on the type of role, but it's usually leveraging certain types of technologies, or for analytics, it's what type of analytics are you doing? What types of tools are you using? It's always changing, but it's really about understanding so every role, you could have a product manager role or a DevOps role in any industry. But if you have experience in a particular industry, you're going to understand how it works better, right? Like how those systems will work to actually accomplish things in those industries, and using those industry terms in a industry focused resume is how you stand out for that. They would be keywords. I would look for keywords, is it online? Is it video? Is it content? Is it audio? There's certain types of expertise they're looking for. What types of, do they need programmatic? Is it managed service? Those types of things will come up depending on who's looking for what. So I would look for those types of that type of information.
So quantifying, achievements importance, we can include if we have, any kind of certificates that from the area, those are going to help a lot. And social media or digital media, it helps a lot as well. Okay, thank you. Another question. It says, what common mistakes do job seekers often make on their resumes and how can they be avoided?
So I think a lot of times people state what they've used, like, rather than share how they have helped a company. So again, it's that, you know, you want to tell a story. You want to describe what you've accomplished. That's why the having the results with it, with the specific measurable result at the end of the statements is helpful, because I can then quantify what you've actually done. Sometimes people will forget to, opt to make sure all the bullets are the same format or a different formatting of fonts, layouts, when spelling, those types of things will stand out more because their expectation is that it's perfect in those ways.
Okay, the next question is, how important is it to customize your resume for each job application? That means if you send the same resume for every job application, what happens?
Yeah, so it's very important. One of the ways to get it close to what you're looking for is to target jobs that you're qualified for. Okay, so picking, if you have a background in the industry, leveraging that background plus your technical skills, and making sure it clearly tells a story about how you have done what these companies are looking for you to do in the type of role that you're targeting in that particular industry. But even still, when you apply to a job, you should be looking at the job description, really looking at the bullets on the job description, understanding what they're actually looking for, what words they're using, what types of adjectives and that they're using, as well as the types of skills they're looking for, and make sure that that is all in there. For example, don't forget that if you know PHP, it should be on your resume. Maybe it hasn't needed to be there for any of the other jobs, but this job would really like it. So just make sure that you are understanding the resume is being looked at versus that job description, and that you'll stand out the best if you optimize it.
Okay, thank you, Noreen. And one other question is, how can job seekers with limited experience create a compelling resume?
So job seekers with limited experience can create a compelling resume by tapping into themselves. Okay. So I think it's really important to think about, even maybe you don't have a lot of experience, but maybe you were always drawn to specific classes in school. Maybe you're naturally good at certain things. So really understanding how you like to help companies and the things that you have done that you like and that you're good at is a good way to start. And then just making sure that you talk about what you have done. Okay. So, share the bullets on what you have. Like, don't worry about how many people might have more experience. Don't worry about other people at all. You are unique. You have a strong value because of your background, where you came from, your experience, your perspective, and all of the learning that you have and the skills that and the knowledge all comes together. So just make sure that that's all illustrated. Understand those key parts of you that you really want other people to see, because you're marketing yourself and you can add value in certain ways, and knowing how you can do that and making sure that that's clear on your resume is the best way to show that.
Yeah, when we are talking about the achievements, they can include the volunteer work, plus the freelance projects as well, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I can get a couple questions if you guys have any. And I'm checking the chat channel, Zoom chat, or the web chat, let's say. Any questions, any concerns, comments, get-ups?
Everybody's a resume expert. They don't have any questions.
I think we covered all, so that's why they do not ask any questions other than these. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay then. Before we close, I would like to announce a new product, service that is given by Clarusway, and so we are giving a service that is for career coaching, resume refinement, and job search guidance. So we provide a diverse array of services, including those areas. And here are some services and the prices. This is one of the basic package that the career, we call it career, that is provided by career. And that as the level goes up, for example, this is the mid-level service, as you add extra services depending on your requirements. And this is the elite package that you can check. So what my managers told me that they can contact via our CMS, email or my Tiger email, no problem. But the link for the application is in the Zoom chat as well. I'm just checking it. So for further questions, you can drop me or to CMS account an email. And yeah, let me check one more thing. I have one more good news for you today. There's an exclusive offer for resume event attendees. So if you just click to the links that's provided here, they offer for the next 24 hours 25% discount on your resume writing services. Okay. So that is limited time offer, no code, no nothing necessary, but that is valid only for 24 hours. And just go ahead and visit the links provided from the Zoom chat. And yeah, I would like to thank you all for being here today. It was my pleasure, to host you with Noreen here in this event. And if you guys have actually don't have any further questions, till we see you in the next Clarusway events. Take good care. And yeah, Noreen, thank you again
Thank you,
for
everybody, for coming.
participating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks
Yeah,
for having me.
thank you. Okay. Yeah, till we see you in the next Clarusway events. Take good care and bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.